stabilize, no rock. Standing mad, more shots. Standing stuck, ready pop. I got the side, fish cock. Air stabilize, no rock. Standing mad, more shots. Standing stuck, ready pop.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Friday and welcome to Series Recap, the show where we tie a nice little bow on the week and talk about everything that you may have missed from Series Z and the esports scene in general over the last 7 days. My name is Yeso. I will be your host today. And of course, I've got a couple of special guests joining me here today. I'm going to have Zephyr sliding in to talk some Apex Legends. Of course, ALGS Pro League very much in swing, and we've got a ton to talk about in terms of Series Z. I'll also have James Chen joining me to talk some Guilty Gear Strive. Of course, Arc Revo Finals America happened last weekend. We'll be discussing that and more, and then of course we'll wrap the show up with some very awesome talk about Halo Infinite. I think I do have another surprise guest joining me in there, but you'll find out about that one later. But let's get into it. We got a ton to cover today, so let's kick off some Series Recap.
And now we're seeing it once again, just like Game 2, slowed down, but Fury won time and time again. And geez, they think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
It gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hacula is going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here. And this was.
It's time to talk some Apex Legends, and joining me to cover it all, my very good friend Zephyr. Very well lit and colorful today. Zephyr, how are we doing?
I feel very bright for once. It's very rare. I feel like a shadow every single time I come on to ESA. Something about the contrast has been improved. So now, hi guys. No, I'm pretty now.
Yeah, it's good to see you, my man. Of course, I do want to give you a special shout out. If you guys didn't know, Zephyr has been casting EMEA, ALGS the last couple of days. I think. Are you doing it through the rest of the weekend? Okay, so
tomorrow
Zephyr,
and the following.
Zephyr has been covering ALGS Pro League for EMEA the last couple of days, and will do so through the rest of the weekend. So I do want to give you a special shout out and congratulations. I know that you are incredibly passionate about Apex and specifically the EMEA region, so it's been fun to see you on the show, and I've loved getting to listen.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that. It's a dream come true, and we'll be working through the rest of this weekend, finishing up on March 27th, which also happens to be my birthday.
Oh, okay, well, happy early birthday then, my friend. We've got a ton to talk about, though, here today. Of course, we got to talk a little North American ALGS as well as Series E in particular, and it was a very packed and action-packed, I should say, week this week on Series E, so let's check out how all the action went down. Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends.
With this critical cooldown missing, Intel may very well be relegated to the 9 placement points that they would catch it. Slurpee gets knocked to this point, though he's got the 3k damage. The rest of Intel may not be able to prop it up. Fearless goes low, and now gets taken down with Gas Station Game, playing the long game, taking the height, but now taking the win in Game 1.
She's gonna get put down. We have a new kill leader, but Excedrin are looking to take advantage.
Nice push from Lazarus, but Excedrin's control should be enough to net them this game. They already have the height, they've already got the angles, and now it's a 2 versus 1. Bizzy surely cannot outduel this, jumping up the high ground as Valkyrie. He takes just 1 tick more of the ring, and Excedrin end up walking away with Game 2. Beautifully played by them.
See an ultimate Barbie coming in, but the bubble coming from across map, and then the counter is gonna come in as well. Tries to go in for the quick scope with the Kraber, but the hill is starting to close in. It looks like one will end up going down. Our Gibby player is taking too much damage here for the Storm. He's gonna go down. So Thirsty, the final player alive, gonna try to pull off the 1v3. Not gonna happen. Intel taking second place in game number 1 and first. Trying to get an angle here as Nerf forced to play a battery on board now with Demi, our Valkyrie player. Definitely the one to force the action, especially with the bolt in hand. And now you see him going in for a flank. He's starting to take height. I'm not sure if YFP are aware of it. And the shots are starting to ring out. The black hole sucking them in. And now the wingman's out here. Beautifully played by Demi, but also a valuable ult coming out of terms.
It's just ridiculous the way that Nerf takes that from literally 1v3ing to hold off YFP on the third party to turning it around.
Now they knew they did not have any access towards
Fearless.
a bubble, so a quick ultimate gonna come in, and now we're in a 3v3, and it looks like Slurp is deciding to get aggressive. 38 on the player with red, and they're about to close the distance. Bubble goes in for themselves as they're closing the gap.
Fearless is sitting out here 1v3, Mooney and Slurpee, they gotta go! They gotta do it now. Slurpee again, trying to take this weird angle, trying to find the initial knock, doesn't quite get it, but Fearless is the one Marvin ends up finding the first one on Julie with just Cruisin left. The 1v3 team's almost impossible at this point, and the shots from Slurpee make it so. We've got our second win for Intel on the day. One on World's Edge, now one on
Armor swap, but he's gonna have to pull off the 1v2. Excedra still having 2 players alive. Rambo takes some heavy damage, forced to go out. Thirsting left and right. It's a 1v2 situation. Rambo decides to get aggressive, runs into the Peacekeeper shots, and that's gonna be it. Excedrin making a statement. This was their building from the get-go. They held it down, taking our last and final game.
Happy to see AOG getting their time in the sun, finally showing us our Ghost Rampart. It is no surprise to anyone on these Mobile 1 leaderboards that Team Intel ended up topping the day with 115 points.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Apex Legends.
Is going to give it to them with that call. Esports Arena, though, now dueling up with Oxygen, have the biggest chance of taking this game. Camping on the outside of the ring, Duplex is going to pick up not nearly a knock, but now a position behind the enemy team, tearing through Oxygen, tearing through TSM, and signing the deal for Team Esports Arena as they will take our very first victory here. Or they're going for the engage.
Wow, 100 Thieves decided they got froggy. They decided to leap. I love how aggressive they got there, but I don't know if that was the right play as Esports Arena coming out on top with that one. And we're seeing they're not done. Atlanta Premier trying to get in. They're actually right into the score. We're down to 3 squads.
Gone? Surely Esports Arena take this. G2 are still fighting it out though, and Esports Arena have a lot to contend with. They actually end up falling as G2 from seemingly nowhere are gonna rip this game away from Atlanta Premier, away from Esports Arena, and take it themselves. Thermal Station is their territory.
CLG looking to get right into the bubble, avoiding all of that defensive bombardment. Velher still flying around, being an annoying gnat at the moment, but he's gonna be dealt with. That's gonna bring us down to just 2 squads, and Nano already taking damage from Renegades, who are making their presence. No, CLG gonna have to battle it out. It's 2 players left. One goes down. Mamba gonna join them. Renegades stealing game number 3.
We have seen it time and time again as well when the way. Cakes can pick up a few knocks in this last ring, but Renegades go very aggressive very quickly and do risk it all up against Esports Arena, opening the floor, in fact, for G2 to be able to come in, depending on how messy this fight gets. We are still down to 3 squads, but Esports Arena are now missing shields everywhere, though Renegades are being taken down just that touch faster. They're going to end up going out. We're down to our top 2 squads, and in from the side is coming Designful, but with Nocta and Duplex both at full health, there's not even a question in my mind that Esports Arena runs Storm Point.
For already putting down to enemy. A Valkyrie Q gonna try to get some kind of value to try to eat away at the shields as enemies now in a 2v1 situation. Not what he wanted to see. Complexity found an opportunity to try to make some waves, but Gent was ready. Shots are going down. G2 taking game number 5.
And Razer are defending their god spot with all of their might. Complexity are really making it difficult for them, and even C9 starting to get involved with an incredible arc star over the side. Abralele takes the off angle, and surely this is the end of Razer.
We have 3 players currently with red shield. Zach Mays are going to go down to having to force to be playing a battery. The defensive bombardment finally going to come in to slow down, but ends up running right into Velhurst, having no idea he's there. And looks like our Gibby player will end up going down. That's going to leave us down to a 2-sum. Finally, Velhurst falls. The armor swap is going to come in, but it's get right back into the action. Down to our final 2 squads here. Stay naughty. Going down in shields, losing a bit of health. R301 shots are starting to connect. Shiny gonna lose a lot of shields here. The movement coming in, but it's not gonna be enough to stop Complexity for stealing the final game here. We gotta take a look at the leaderboard, that final leaderboard coming in. ESA, they take number 1.
They do. It's impressive that they managed to do it as well, because G2 gave it their all. But the nice thing about
a crazy week of action there in Series E. Do want to give some special credit to Dia and Why Not. They covered both nights of Series E Apex Legends this week. They were awesome. They were fun. Great content. So hats off to both of those gentlemen. I know we both enjoy getting to work with them here in Series E and elsewhere. So well done.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit of an understatement there. Dia is my lover, and I want more of him.
Somebody needs to bonk Zephyr, please. Can we get a penalty for
I can
for
do it.
Zephyr. Zephyr needs to behave himself. All right. There we go. There. Oh, I mean, wow, with a metal hydro flask. That is an aggressive bonk, but well done. Thank you for taking care of that for me, Zephyr.
problem.
A lot of interesting things to talk about from this week. Of course, Intel and Esports Arena with big wins on their respective nights, but I feel like, interestingly enough, the biggest story for this week is Team Excedrin, and we can both take a moment to kind of pat ourselves on the back here. I know we both picked them to keep our eye on last week and picked them to be the team finishing in third place, and at the very least, at the moment, they do sit in third place, largely thanks to consistent performances. They finished third on Tuesday night and in sixth on Wednesday. Third place, the top 5 teams, interestingly enough, on Tuesday, all Series E partnered squads. They finished ahead of Nerf still. And then you go into Wednesday, they finished 6th overall and were the highest placing Series E partnered squad on Pro Night. So Excedrin, you can see on the overall standings now, have jumped ahead. 38 points separate themselves from Nerf. They have reclaimed third place in Series E, and they've got to be feeling really good about the way they played this week.
3 weeks to go, though, yay. So, I mean, it's only, like you said, what, 30-something plus points there to work with? That's one night that could potentially change everything here. And, you know, we're coming off of the heat of an Excedrin kind of dominance these last 3 or 4 weeks. But prior to that, it was Nerf this, Nerf that. So, personally, I want to see if they can stay consistent. I'm glad to see that the roster has found its pace here, but now they need to finish strong.
Yeah, I think you make a good point when you say that, you know, a single night could turn these standings on their head once again. Of course, Nerf still had a solid showing, especially when you look at Tuesday night, but Excedrin was just better. So, Excedrin not safe by any stretch of the imagination. So they still have some work ahead of them and still plenty of Apex left to play for all of these teams. Of course, Vizio maintains first place. Intel still inching closer, but it is looking more and more likely with every passing day of competition that Vizio has officially claimed the title here in Season 4. We'll have to see how things end out in the end. And then, of course, it was Razer week here at Series E, and Team Razer, another solid showing, but still not closing that gap large enough. There is still an opportunity here for Razer, but a 114-point gap between themselves and Excedrin is going to be difficult to surmount here with the time remaining in the season.
I'd love to know this because I think it does hold some at least relevancy to this conversation. What does occur for these teams if they do happen to find themselves back towards relegation? I mean, this is my first season really kind of getting to interact at Esports Arena, so even I don't know what awaits them.
Yeah, so the top 3 teams, of course, hold on to their place. They do not have to compete to get back in. The 3 teams that do not finish in the top 3, they are welcome to come back and compete once again in qualifiers. They just have to earn their spot once again. Vizio, Intel, and Excedrin, if the season ended today, would be safe. They were automatically booked for next season. The other 3 teams would have to play through qualifiers again to grab those other spots. So, you know, all is not lost. You could theoretically see all 3 of those teams back in Series E next season, but it is no guarantee. They have to play through qualifiers again and at least risk not making it back.
Such is the state of Apex, a little game, a little mix of RNG, but definitely something that always spices up my weekend and keeps me entertained. So definitely something I'll be watching out for as we approach the next season here. Still, though, like you said, it's not set in stone just yet. 3 weeks to go here. I'm feeling safe about Intel and Vizio, but Excedrin still leaves me a little bit quaky.
Speaking of Intel and Vizio, I want us to have a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of a debate here. I teased you about it last night. We have not given each other our answers on this debate, but Zephyr does know what is coming. I want to talk about who I feel are the top 2 candidates for MVP here in this season of Series E, and they are Scissors and Fearless. Their stats on your screen right now, neck and neck in total kills, very close in average damage. I actually believe that is a mistake on my part. I put this graphic together and I maybe put a typo. It should be 955 average damage for Fearless. Scissors is hovering down below 800, about 775, somewhere around there. So that is a mistake on my part. But then the assist there, and the biggest standout for me is you talk about the total kills, almost dead even, but Fearless has much less games played. You have to remember that he came into Intel partway through the season, which means that those average kills significantly higher, averaging essentially half a kill more per game than Scissors this season. I will let you take the first crack at it. Who is your choice at this point in time for MVP of Series E Season 4?
First off, I want to say that you're absolutely terrible and that I hate you for making me start this one off.
Yeah, I got this in Discord last night as well, so I knew this was coming.
This is tough. This is really, really tough here, especially because I'm conflicted, all right? I love Scissors and I love Vizio, and they've shown consistency not just here in Esports Arena, but also in their progress as a pro league team. And it goes to just show me that they maybe should be the most valuable player, but the most important thing that really stands out is what Fearless has brought to the table. The fact that he joined Team Intel come January, late January here. This team was nowhere close to finding themselves within that top 3, or at least in a secured position here. And I mean, Yeso, we can remember this. It was like night and day, flip of the switch here, with less than 2 weeks to really confirm and find an identity as a full 3-man roster. Fearless, and kind of off the back of his aggression, kind of leading the pack here, has pushed Intel far, far and above the rest here.
I think you make a good point there. When you talk about Scissors, and I don't mean to discount his accomplishments, but Scissors comes into an already established roster with a ton of talent. When you look at Phony and Fury, the wealth of experience that those players have at really every level of competitive Apex, and Scissors has, to his credit, plugged in so perfectly to that formula and succeeded incredibly well, right? He has come into a roster where, you would think coming into the season that Phony has almost got a lock, right? For MVP. He has already a Series E MVP under his belt from Season 2 and looking likely to repeat that here this season. And Scissors comes in and is fragging like crazy and flourishing really well in this Vizio ecosystem. And that is to be commended. I think Scissors has been great and has also carried that into the ALGS Pro League and has been really good there. But when you speak specifically about Series E, I think the point you make with how Fearless has really catapulted this Intel roster into the stratosphere in terms of their competition in Series E is so incredible, was really unexpected, and a huge credit to Fearless with how good he has been since he joined this team. And he, there are many different ways that you can approach an MVP debate. You can just say, X player had the best season. You can say that this player was most valuable to their team because, if you take this player away, their team is terrible. And to an extent, all of these are valid ways to approach it. But I think you could arguably say that Fearless has maybe won on both sides of that argument. Obviously still some Apex left to be played, as we've already talked about, but you could maybe say that Fearless has had the best season, as well as you take him away and that team is not the same, where if you take Scissors away from Fury and Phony, they're still probably in first place. So I have to say, I agree with you. Again, I want to see how the season finishes, but Fearless has been so good since he joined this team and has been exceptional in pushing this team to the next level that I have to give him my vote as well. So I'm going with Fearless with you.
Ooh. It's tough too because we see this roster kind of make its impact in Esports Arena at the very end here, the second half of this competition, right? I would love to see what could have been had Intel had this roster to begin with and had the ability to play it all the way through here, because it kind of feels like in recent weeks it hasn't been the dominant Vizio game. It's been Intel constantly showing up, open week after open week, stacking numbers across the board here. And Vizio in their own right, we look at the beginning of the season, had a monumental, just massive lead themselves here. but it was against a completely different teams, a completely different intel here, and that's why it makes me... I can't quite give it to Vizio with that concept in mind, because I'm almost sure of it. Had we had the full 3-man here from Intel from the very get-go, I don't know if Vizio would be our leaders right now.
I think you make a great point there, and it really feels like it's been a story of two very different seasons. The first half definitively belonging to Vizio, and the second half has pretty clearly belonged to Intel. They won their 4th open night this past Tuesday. Their second performance, if memory serves, I think their second time hitting triple digits in terms of points, possibly even their third. I mean, Intel has been unreal dominant on Tuesdays. The one criticism I have for them is that they have not translated this to the next level. You talk about them on Wednesday nights, they have not been nearly as successful as Vizio has. And even when you go to the Pro League, which is really what I want to push this conversation towards now, because as GeForce, they really haven't done anything in Pro League, where you look at W and they're sitting right at the fringe of the top 10 right now and have been really, really good. And North America, of course, incredibly competitive in the Pro League, and GeForce just has not brought it to the table as of yet.
Right, and this is why this discussion is centered around Esports Arena, thankfully.
And it is the Series E MVP, right?
Yeah, the Series E MVP, because that's the only reason why we kind of have such a hardcore competition between these two players. But it cannot be understated that W finding their rhythm here in the ALGS Pro League is just an absolute massive achievement. I believe the only unsigned team to fight their way through amongst the pack up there at the very, very top. Had it not been for a little bit of a rocky start on their very first day, I'm sure, Yeso, that they would literally be in at least the top 3 right now. So, and it doesn't seem like they're showing any signs of stopping here. I mean, I don't want to put it out there, but I feel like we're going to be seeing the Vizio boys in Stockholm here, you know, once we finally approach May and whatnot.
And that is a big point to make, is that, of course, we got the announcement this week that the ALGS is going to land the top 40 teams qualifying from the different regional pro leagues will be going to Stockholm. It is in April.
Thank you.
I believe, right? Is it in April? It's in April or May. It's one of those two. I don't know.
It's coming up.
Details, doesn't matter. But we will have the top 40 teams qualifying from these pro leagues going. And of course, the top 10 from North America will go. One of those teams most likely to be Esports Arena. They're currently tied with NRG at the top of the ALGS Pro League, and W right there on the fringe looking to book their tickets to Stockholm. And it'll be incredible because it feels like this has just been such a long time coming, getting an ALGS land, seeing the best teams from around the world. I know you've had your eyes on the European teams, and it's going to be so fun to watch them all compete.
Right, and then even for, you know, teams like GeForce, like the Intel roster here, you know, their journey isn't done. You might not qualify in that top 10, but the system this year allows and permits for the second chances to exist in both the last chance qualifiers number 1 and last chance qualifiers number 2 here. So I think it just makes for a really entertaining kind of climax here towards ALGS, and we really haven't seen anything like it. I mean, this being the first iteration of this specific type of pro play.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and of course those last chance qualifiers will be for the ALGS Championships, which is the definitive world championship for Apex Legends, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Hopefully another big, exciting land, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Let's turn it back towards Series E one more time before we close out for the day as we hit some ALGS stuff. Looking forward towards next week. Of course, you mentioned only a few weeks remaining in the season. I want to know, what team do you have your eyes on going into the next week of play? I know we had both of our thoughts on Excedrin this week, and you know, they proved to play pretty well. So who are you going to kind of bless with your prediction this time around, Zephyr?
It's Vizio.
Okay.
This time around, it's going to be a Vizio return here. They've had some struggles. As you said, these last 4 weeks have been all Intel here, and I don't think it's going to last. I think Kingdom Come is on its way, and I think we'll have at least the throne reintroduced.
My pick is going to be Nerf here, and very specifically because We saw such a good week here from Excedrin. They stole third place away from Nerf, at least for the time being. So my eyes are on Nerf on whether or not they can respond. And they didn't play bad this week. They had some wins. They were getting into a lot of late circles, especially when you look at Tuesday night, and they were in the top 5. And my eyes are on Nerf to see if they can respond. Some great jabs and punches here from Excedrin this past week. I need to see if Nerf can, at the very least, if not jump back ahead of Excedrin, at least close that gap to some extent. So I'm definitely going to have my eyes on that squad. Oh, Zephyr, you swapped your pick to Intel. Are you
What?
Are you trying to speak to me in like sign language right now? I don't know.
No. Ignore that. Ignore that. That translation can happen after the stream here. Don't you worry about that,
so
Big Bay.
Zephyr picked Vizio, and I picked Nerf, and those are going to be our predictions going into, there it is, beautiful. Shout out to production. They do great work, and especially because they have to deal with us just throwing curveballs at them on the fly. I know Zephyr loves to do that, mix things up whenever he can. Zephyr, I am going to say goodbye to you here. Thank you for your time. Any final thoughts? I know you're going to be casting EMEA. Any shout outs you want to do before I let you go?
Absolutely. If you guys want to tune into the secondary stream here for the Pro League, we are trying to crunch through as many matches as possible to kind of sum up this split 2 here for that region. I'll be on what is Versus Gaming _GG for most of that. They've partnered alongside the ALGS to cover all of that action. So if you want to show your support, I know it's not North American, but it is me. So hopefully that's enough impetus to potentially stop by and say hello.
Yeah, and if you don't want to listen to Zephyr this weekend, just go watch Team Esports Arena competing in North America. The region that matters, right? We can just get Zephyr out of here. Get him out of here. Zephyr, it's good to see you. We'll talk again this weekend. Always appreciate my friend Zephyr coming out to talk Apex Legends, even if he is going to be, mildly inappropriate with his sign language there. Do want to remind you folks, of course, we're going to talk Ability Gear Strive here in a moment, but I want to talk to you a little bit about something new we've got going on at our Esports Arena locations all across the country, and it's called PvE. No longer do you always have to dedicate 3 or 4 hours to a tournament if you want to do some esports competition. We have a new event that you can come out and just try as you feel comfortable. Now, PvE is special. We've got 4 different leaderboards that run every single week from Wednesday all the way through Sunday. You come out, buy some tokens, and use the tokens to purchase attempts in the different leaderboards. Each leaderboard has its own $500 prize pot, and you can come in and compete anytime during that Wednesday to Sunday time period. Put in your tokens, put up your best score, whether it's in Aim Labs, Home Run Derby and Smash, Mario Kart, and more, and then you can just move on with your day. We also have our leaderboards tracking 24/7 on a live stream on our YouTube channel, so you can always check on what the latest scores are. So go out to your local esports arena today. You can use ! locations in Twitch chat right now to find out where one is near you and come out and game with us today. Now, we are going to go to a quick break right now. When we come back, James Chen will be joining me to talk some Guilty Gear Strive, so don't go far. Series recap returns in a few.
Versus coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Get the balls to the brakes. I'm talking one chance at the soul. Go for the goal. It's one shot. Now the future is yours. Go. Etc. I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. They're all our top fresh flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
We are back once again and now talking some Guilty Gear Strive. James Chen joining me on the show today. James, I want to ask, how's your brother Jeff doing? You doing all right?
Yes. Jeff is doing good.
That's good to know. That's good to know. But of course, the man we care about today is James Chen. We're talking Guilty Gear Strive. It was honestly another really fun week. Of course, we're coming right on the heels of the Arc Revo America Finals this past weekend. We've got a ton to talk about today, James, and I'm excited about it. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to, mention that the previous version of Guilty Gear was called Guilty Gear Exert Sign. So if I'm talking Guilty Gear, I think that's the closest to sign language that I'll be able to be using here. I hope Zephyr is okay with that. I don't think I can quite match his talent level on that.
Considering there is only one sign in there that I understood, I think we're going to be just fine, James. We'll just stick to, normal English here. But for right now, we got a ton of highlights here from the last week of Series E Guilty Gear Strive. So let's check out how all the action went down. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Guilty Gear Strive. It's Razer Week here at Series E as we keep the action rolling and jump right into the FGC. My name is Jay, so I will be your host today. As always, excited to be back for more Guilty Gear Strive action. And we're ready to go, so I'm going to hand it off to the casters. Let's kick off another week of Series E Guilty Gear Strive.
Class is in session, and this is looking like the tension. Because Razo's in. They're about to get that win. One touch, look at the go. Oh, no. Don't get saucy with it. Don't get too saucy with it. Solstice can bring this back from the break at any point. We see what happened with this character that is ran. Puts in the corner. It might be a wrap like that. Oh, no.
All right, here we go. And
oh, no.
Is not going to spend the burst yet. He can't now. Going to get sent through the wall. Here we go. Positive meter bonus. But Razo had the BRC.
As we got something to prove right there. The air. Drops it down to the ground. 2P2S. Look at that. Backing off again to let that Eddie meter regen just a bit. Drops it down to the ground. JP Maul, the leapfrog. Baits out the burst. The burst is clinched. And so is this fight. James, final game, final round. No. Let's go.
Great start here for Solstice corner position. The mix-up, the shimmy, the double swords. Jonathan Tene down to no life. Has to find a way to make this comeback with a PRC back. Gets the burst. It's not a gold one, though, unfortunately. And there goes a pose. No Eddie meter. Nice. There we go. Trying to stave out the time. All those staggers just mean that Solstice's offense is not as solid and airtight as he would like it to be. What?
The DP had the RC bar just to make sure. The RC bar just to make sure. Right, could have kept it safe in the play. 6P, but Razo gets such a reward off that hit, and that might tell Solstice again. The DP off the RC, the burst in the distance. Razo blocking it out. Oh, the windshield wipers. Explosion gets the pickup.
Yo, what a conversion by Solstice. Really clutch decision right there. Solstice cannot activate the burst after getting wall splat, but look, Solstice was able to make a comeback before. There's the super again without an RC behind it. Not a gold burst. Not a gold burst.
Oh wait, can Solstice do this? One touch. You get the bar, the bottom of the dash throw, the red RC, the victory. Solstice. Almost there. Can they do it? Razo with the side switch. Fantastic round start. I want to see more of these back chains, these back turn situations. Look at how much reward is in store when you land these hits. The backboard. Reset, guard break. Overhead into the super. This one's for you, Morph. Not enough to seal it, but this is Oki time. Plus bar.
The tap done. Final game, final round of the set. Not necessarily the tournament. If Razo takes this, it is the end of the tournament. If Solstice takes this, we get a reset. Look at this, Solstice already taking the burst out of Razo. The damage into the super. Oh my God, the damage.
The down button. The down button stuck. The down button was stuck. The explosion. Don't let this go back from the brink. Don't let that teabag lead into defeat right here. Solstice, you can't lose. And the dash up, throw it, do it. Reset point.
It's not a Razo right away, and Solstice is going to get their burst back very soon. So definitely the ball is in Solstice's court, but here we go. The knockdown
Is it?
All right, Solstice does have the burst ready to go. What the heck? We're in the
5K gets the
can
reset
combo
to
there.
so good.
Oh, chases down the back dash
5K DP.
with the BRC. Oh,
That's a
runs
throw.
up, throws. RC gonna be able to take this.
Final round. Razo Solstice, take it to the limit. You wouldn't want anything better out here at Series E. Hard knockdown home disc. Call up in the corner. About to call the corner in a second. Razo gets the pressure situation. 6H.
Save the burst, but Razo about to get the burst back as well. Can he burst here to find a way to avoid? No, just gonna eat this whole damage right here. No health left for Solstice.
Razo gonna play this picture perfect. Go left, close to get that bar. The DP coming through. The red RC 2H.
No burst.
There it is. The burst though. One touch though. James, one touch.
Okay.
Walks out the red
Towards
RC.
the corner.
Goes
Towards the
flash.
corner. This is huge. Oh my God. Are we gonna see another? Is this gonna be punch away back? Come back.
jump in.
Razo with the jump over the far slash to get the kill.
And that means Razo will be your winner of Series E this week with the sickest play today.
It was an insane night of action last night with the Guilty Gear Strive tournament, and I feel like Grands absolutely delivered. We got a full 10 games thanks to the reset from Solstice, and it was, I mean, I felt like every time I thought I knew who was going to win one of those sets, the other player would come back and completely turn the set on its head, and it was so much fun to watch, and no better way for it to go down, going to Game 5, final round between Solstice and Razo.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see the players pushing so hard, and there were some of those ridiculous comebacks that you saw there. Like there was the one with Razo, just like down to a pixel to a full bar, and he just made the comeback. And I mean, honestly, you know, Cola keeps saying it all the time, but you know, you will not find better Guilty Gear Strive action during the week than here at Series E, and this yesterday proved it. I mean, honestly, it was some of the best Guilty Gear action that I've seen in a while. Obviously, Arc Revo this past weekend, which we'll talk about more, was amazing as well. But just for a weekly tournament like this, I mean, obviously Series E is delivering in spades, and I had a great time commentating that. So definitely needed to rest my voice afterwards, but it was good stuff.
You know, I'm glad you were able to kind of take a breath and relax a little bit after that one, because I mean, hey, you and Cola definitely put your all into that bracket and definitely into that grand finals, because it was incredible. I want to pull up the top 8 from last night. We can kind of take a look through that here and just talk about, you know, some of the sets and the players that stood out to us. Of course, important to mention, another week here where we see the entire top 3 all Series E signed pros: Razo, Solstice, excuse me, and then Jonathan Tene. Of course, Jonathan taking down Punk 3-0 in losers semis there and going a full 5 games against Solstice. So even though Jonathan doesn't get into grand finals, it's another good showing from the Vizio player here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just shows how much playing week after week like this really just improves your skill. You know, I mean, back, you know, during even all, if you go all the way back to Street Fighter 4, when we first started doing like Wednesday night fights, and then shout outs to New York's NLBC, you know, formerly the Big Two, formerly all these different names, like these events, these weekly events that, you know, got people going, whether it was online or offline, every single week creates some of the best players you're going to see in the game. And, you know, speaking about Jonathan Tene, of course, second place at Arc Revo this past weekend. Like I said, we'll talk more about that later, but, you know, just shows how much talent that these players have and how much they're improving. One of the things Cole and I talked about, you know, was that when Jonathan Tene first started playing Series E, he had switched from Soul to Zato. And I remember during one of the first, it might have been the first or second week I was commentating this, you know, we were talking about how, oh, he's going to try to make Zato work. Maybe he'll jump back to Soul. And now he's considered the strongest Zato player in North America, you know, and it's just so awesome to see these players improving week after week after week, and you know, and again, consistently because, I joked yesterday, but how many times now have Jonathan Tene and Razo played against each other? Like, you see them at the top of the winners bracket on the very left side over here. These two have played each other probably a bazillion times at this point, and it's because they keep making it so far in the bracket. I know that these two players are friends as well, so I'm sure they're both happy for each other, but maybe a little sick of fighting each other at this point.
So, interestingly enough, I actually have an exact number for you, at least in the context of Series E. In terms of Thursday nights, those two, Razo and Jonathan Tene, have played against each other now in 8 sets. And I know that Razo is now 3-5 in those sets after that win this week. The only wins that Razo had prior to last night against Jonathan in the Thursday night bracket were back at the end of January when Razo came out of losers and beat Jonathan in back-to-back sets to win their first Thursday night bracket. So other than that, though, they had played a lot of very tightly contested sets. I think only one of the 5 wins that Jonathan has against Razo has not gone a full 5 games. So I think a nice little rivalry has developed between these two. Of course, I think you make a good point. They are friends. They play against each other a lot. And it's been really fun to watch. And every time I see them line up against each other in the bracket, I get so excited. I feel like the set delivered last night, and then Grands did the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I'm really happy for Solstice here because this is a really big placing for him. I mean, obviously still going down to Razo, but I don't know if we have the standings in terms of the partnered players for this week. But Solstice was kind of trailing behind a little bit in 4th place. And there you go. You see how this win, getting to 4th place, 40 points, catapulting him right into the conversation here, especially with Shine, with a few weeks of, I don't want to call it like bad performances, but just not up to the standards that we've seen from Shine. And a lot of that is going to come down to the fact that, Potemkin is a grappler, and grapplers tend to, in fighting games, be very strong, and then people start figuring out how to fight the grappler. This is something that, commentators like myself commonly call the grappler syndrome, where very early on they're going to be super strong, and then they just kind of level out a little bit. So I think people are figuring out the matchup a little bit. But if you see this, yesterday, I should say, Solstice got 40 points and Shine got 0 points. If that happens again next week, Solstice is now tied with Shine. And so while the top 2 are what matters most, it's still, Solstice was out of the running for quite some time. It seemed like he was going to be out of the running. In fact, was even under idiosyncrasy at one point in time. But now catapulting himself up to 4th place, being right in that conversation. And it's going to be a very tight run at the end of the season here. So it's really cool how it's turning out, and seeing the 4 players being so, competitive with each other in getting these points. Of course, the top 2 keep their sponsors, but hopefully the other 2 might get picked up again. And with the way they're performing, hopefully does happen.
Yeah, and it feels like, interestingly enough, this season of Guilty Gear Strive, a bit of a parallel to something Zephyr and I talked about with Apex Legends earlier, where it feels like it's kind of been a tale of 2 seasons. You look at the first half, and at least from the Series E Pro player standpoint, pretty heavily dominated by Shine and by Razo. And the second half feels like it's been a monumental shift to Jonathan Tene and Solstice. And now, thankfully for Razo, having a bit of a kind of a return to form here, of course, winning last night, and really looking to try and chase down Jonathan, who has built a nice, healthy lead there at the top of the standings. Of course, the first player to hit that 300-point threshold. But now we have only, 2-3 weeks left in the season, and now it's just going to be this incredible race to the finish, and seeing all of these players playing some of their best Guilty Gear we've seen right now just makes for such exciting brackets. And then you add on top of that, you're seeing Hotashi coming out, Diaphone, Punk, Flash, all these incredible players coming to compete every week. And it feels like, the rising tide raises all ships, as everybody has been leveling up their play over this entire season.
Yeah, I mean, not even counting the partner players, like you were saying, one of the favorites, one of the fan favorites, I should say, Adventure. I always like talking about Adventure and his Jacko play, but, did really well at Frosty Faustings earlier this year, and he's there throwing hands with everybody every week here at Series E, and again, I don't think that's a coincidence. We see that all the time. Speaking of other Guilty Gear games as well, there's a player by the name of Pat the Flip who's running weeklies over and over and over again, and at Frosty Faustings made top 8 and Exerd made top 8 and XX. It's so important to stay on your game and to keep playing like that, and having something like Series E, and it's cool too, because normally you go to local, you play, you win first place, get a maybe like $80, $90 or something like that. But here, getting $300 for playing, in your pajamas at home potentially, it's kind of nice.
Well, and part of the cool thing, we can throw it back to last week is, if you go and play in that local, you go play in Wednesday night fights, and you have an incredible performance, you can get invited to the Thursday night bracket, and what do you know? Umisho goes, crushes Wednesday night, wins it, gets invited to Series E on Thursday. Oh, and what do you know? Just follows a win up in Wednesday night fights with a win in Series E. So there are really good opportunities right now for players to get their name out there and really kind of make a statement, and it's awesome to watch, and they can come and compete with the best every single week.
It's so important, and you, as a person who's been playing fighting games for literally decades now, and playing in tournaments and such, it's really interesting because you can go and play in ranked all the time, right? You can play in ranked matches on through your console, through your PC or whatever. And what's interesting about it's a very different environment. You play people online, and a lot of times you play them, you beat them, or you lose to them, you may never run into them again. But what makes tournament play like this so important for people to play in something like this week after week, one, you start learning how you react under pressure. You're thinking about that $300 and you're like, this may make the difference between me being able to buy this cool thing or not. And then also another thing, you start learning how to remember what your opponents do, right? Especially in a 1v1 game like this, there's so much of your opponent's personality. So it's not just you're fighting another Leo this week, you're fighting Razo's Leo. So you fighting Chetu's Leo. And those two Leos are going to play very different from each other. And so you have to remember the tendencies. And it's just a very different kind of skill set. And that kind of skill set that you learn through playing tournaments, learning how to evaluate players, remember what it is that they do, is so valuable for these, major tournament environments. And, speaking of, if you don't mind me, plugging Combo Breaker coming up, very, very soon. That thing has 800 some entrants, and people are hungering for some Guilty Gear Strive offline action, and these guys are going to run into each other at Combo Breaker. And so without a question, they're going to have a little bit of leg up and being able to evaluate opponents and such. And I won't be surprised to see a lot of these, partnered Series E players make the top 32, make the top 16 at Combo Breaker.
It's going to be fun to watch. Speaking of offline Guilty Gear action, let's throw back to last weekend, the Arc Revo America Finals. There's a ton to talk about here, but I have to start with the fact that I saw your tweet last weekend. Run me through your morning on Saturday of last weekend. What happened, James?
Oh man, so this was it's like a fever dream at this point in time. I'm still trying to determine if this actually happened or not, but I had talked to the Arxis people. I had gotten permission to restream the event. I was going to restream it on my channel at 1 p.m. when it started, do a beginner restream kind of thing and have beginner friendly conversation. And so I was look, I'm a night owl. My sleep schedule is completely destroyed by the pandemic. And so I was just sitting there it starts at 1. If I wake up at 12, I should be good. So I'm up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'm still awake. All right, I probably should get at least 5 hours of sleep. So I go to bed at 7. And lo and behold, at 8:30, I get a call from my friend Jeremy, who is part of the production team. and Sajam, who wonderful, one of the best commentators we have out there, fell ill, not to COVID. This is just a standard cold here in the situation. And he couldn't make it anymore. He had done all the rehearsals on Thursday, and then on Thursday night, he just started to feel worse. And then he couldn't make it. I'm sorry, he did that on Friday night, and then he couldn't come in the next day on Saturday. And so Jeremy's like, hey, James, can you come do Arc Revo today? And like I said, I've had like an hour of sleep, so I'm just like lying here going like, is this happening? Am I dreaming? Like, is this real right now? But again, I love Guilty Gear, and I was honored to be asked to do the Arc Revo. So literally, I was like, all right, they needed me in the building by 10, so I was like, let's do this. Got up at 8:30, 9 o'clock, got ready, went down there, and drank a bunch of Red Bull. Drank a bunch of soda.
Just pump that right into your veins, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because I mean, normally when this kind of situation happens, I do get very tired during the event and stuff like that, but I just like had this adrenaline rush. Like, I don't remember feeling sleepy at all during the event, but literally that's the reason why the next 2 days I just crashed.
Well, that's
so
awesome. And I was so excited to see you on there, and I was even confused. I didn't necessarily know the situation in advance, but I remember opening the stream and going, I didn't know James was doing this event. I was like, this is cool. Okay. I was like, great. This is awesome. I know James. This will be cool. Let's talk about the event in particular. 6 players coming out, of course. Go ahead.
To be fair, I just want to say I didn't know I was doing it.
Yeah, right.
Either, so,
I wasn't alone. That's for sure.
We're all there. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
But let's focus in on the event. 6 of the best players coming out to compete. Of course, hats off to the Canadian and Mexican players that did qualify but couldn't make it due to COVID protocols. Of course, we look forward to hopefully things clearing up in the future and getting to see that big LAN happen and those players get to come out. But we saw Hotashi, Jonathan Tene, Daze, Flash, Metroid, Razo, and Symbolist coming out. I know there was a lot of controversy about the format due to how things shook out in groups, and of course Razo getting, not making the bracket stage due to just set count. What were your kind of thoughts on how that went down?
I think it was just one of those situations where, again, 2 players from Mexico were supposed to show up and 2 players from Canada were supposed to show up. I think it was Chetu, Excelancer from Mexico, Peppery Splash, and I don't remember who the other
Remy
Canadian
Celeste.
player. That's what it is, Remy Celeste. Yeah, so it was supposed to be 5 players in each of the pools. So it was 2 make it out, and then 3 players didn't make it. But since we lost those 4 players due to the COVID restrictions, they kept it with the pool play and just had the players in there, just the 3 players in there. So it made it a little awkward because, 2 players made it out, but that just means 1 player didn't make it out, and it was just kind of an unfortunate situation. Maybe required, like maybe it called for like an audible, perhaps like maybe just starting the other 2 players in the losers bracket and just letting them go through from there. But again, for anybody who's worked on these productions and stuff like that, doing those kind of last second changes and stuff can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So I think they stuck with the format that they did. I know Razo was not happy that they, obviously they got, so that pool was 1-1, 1-1, 1-1.
Yeah.
All 3 players had the record of 1-1, and tiebreaker for, the tiebreaker is what put Razo out of the official bracket. And, which is why I'm not surprised Razo won this last week, because, something to prove, chip on the shoulder just a little bit, a little driving force there.
And I mean, have to give hats off to Razo as well, because, that, game count ended up the way it was because Razo goes up against Flash, goes down 0-2, and then reverse sweeps Flash, which was insane. That set was incredible, and Razo just looked on another level, kind of flipped that switch going into game 3, and it was just like, whoa, this looks like a completely different player.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it was really, really unfortunate how it kind of turned out that way. But fortunately, all the players did get something. Even the Canadian and the Mexican players who did not end up going, they all got $1,000, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can totally understand, why Razo is upset about it. Completely justified, kind of situation here. But again, I don't want to put any blame on the Arc Revo staff or anything like that. It was just kind of a tough situation to deal with, especially with 4 of your players disappearing and being unable to show up all of a sudden. But obviously that didn't stop the matches from being really, really awesome. And our 4-time Series E champion Hotashi taking it in the end. And I had mentioned on here on Series E many times that you can tell Hotashi isn't even thinking about being the best in the Americas. He's looking across the ocean to Latif in EU, to all the players in Asia and such. And he even said so himself as much during his victory speech at Arc Revo. So again, as awesome it is that we get to play each other online like this, he's looking beyond that. And again, he spoke very highly of Jonathan Tene. And again, that's what an event like Series E helps promote, is to create these stronger players. And I really, really admire Hotashi's drive to bring North America more together as a team to get ready for, the the global traveling that hopefully will be coming back sometime soon, please, maybe.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Of course, we do have to give, hats off to both, specifically Hotashi, and then, of course, Jonathan Tene, who finished first and second. Incredible performances from both of those players. I do have to shift our focus back to Series E here as we kind of wrap up the segment here, and I want to know, of our 6 Series E partnered pros, of course, we got to look at the standings a few minutes ago and kind of what the state is of all that. Who do you have your eyes on going into the next week of play, James?
For me right now, I mean, I'm a Potemkin player. Shine's a Potemkin player. He's had a couple of bad weeks in the past 3 weeks or so. I'm looking for him to come out strong this next week. And, there's a little bit of a heart bias here because I want to see my Potemkin brethren do well. But honestly, at this point, after Arc Revo, after just watching his performance throughout Series E, Jonathan Tene, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back out swinging and takes first place this next week and really establishes a lead on that on the points board. Because again, I echo the things that Hotashi said about Jonathan Tene. He is elevated to such a level, and I love watching Zato. And keep in mind, as a Guilty Gear player from a long time ago, I hate fighting Zato. I have hated that character my whole life. But watching Jonathan Tene play Zato is a pleasure. And, being able to see the strategies that he implements and, and just seeing his adaptation and just seeing how he keeps getting stronger every week. Dare I say it makes me a Zato fan? I take it back. I didn't say it.
I cannot believe you just said that, James, but I hear you. Jonathan is looking incredible. I will say, I'll keep it quick here. My eyes are on Solstice. We took a look at the standings. I would love to see Solstice have a pop-off week next week, and then I want absolute chaos going into the final weeks of the season. I would love nothing more than to see the top 4 all within maybe 40 points going into the end of the season, because that would produce probably the most exciting finish. So I've definitely got my eyes on Solstice.
You just want to watch the world burn.
I do. I could not agree more with you there, James. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. Get some rest tonight. I can't imagine you're going to be getting any 8 a.m. phone calls this weekend, but I guess we'll find out.
Hope not.
All right,
Hope
James.
not.
Hey, appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. Always good to talk to you, man.
All right, take care, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, you will. That was James Chen, FGC fan to the stars, and of course, an incredible commentator that we love to hear here on Series E every single week. I always appreciate getting to talk to him. Do want to let you guys know, though, of course, going into this week, and we talked a little bit about PvE earlier, but we have another special thing going on this weekend at our esports arenas located all across the country, because guess what? It's Kirby Week. If you're a fan of one of the most legendary Nintendo franchises, you can go out and try out the newest Kirby title at your local esports arena this weekend. Kirby and the Forgotten Land has debuted today. You can go and pick it up. If you want to grab one yourself, you can head over to walmart.com/esports arena. You may find it over there and go grab your own copy. But go out to your local esports arena today. You can take some pictures with Kirby and you can try out the game for yourself. And the nice thing is, if you go out to an arena this weekend and try out Kirby and the Forgotten Land, you will be entered to win a copy of the game for yourself. So you can come and play it this weekend. I'm going to take this one home with me and I'm going to enjoy some Kirby myself. Don't tell Frank that I said that, all right? So find your local esports arena, use ! locations in Twitch chat right now to get the link that you need and come play Kirby with us this weekend. That does it for Guilty Gear Strive. We're going to go to a quick break right now. When we come back, my special surprise guest will be joining me to talk about some Halo Infinite, so don't go far.
Y'all best not for more. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands for Nintendo Switch Systems is coming out this Friday, March 25th. You can try it out at your local esports arena. Check it out, guys. Great game. Oh, let's go!
favor, it just gets dwindled down to the United one. I just have to point it out. Snake Bite gonna come out on top, and now the damage has been done. Choo-choo's on their back. The series to go the distance, and that means Optic Gaming needs to wake up. It appears that they've started to do so.
We are back once again to talk some Halo Infinite, and my special surprise guest, no surprise to me, is a bad push.
How's it going, everyone?
Moving from the sticks into the studio
Yes,
to talk
sir.
some Halo Infinite. How we doing today, man? Happy
Good.
Friday.
Good, man. How are you? Excited to talk about Halo.
I'm good. It was a fun week of Series Z, and of course we had 2 nights of action for Series Z Halo Infinite on Monday and Wednesday. Let's check out how it all went down this past week. Welcome to Series Z Halo Infinite. We're kicking off week 4 action here with our open night.
Slayer doesn't start until 30 kills, right? It's like the official start to the game is usually after that 30 kill mark. That's when things get real dicey. I mean,
Have the weapon, so he's keeping it away from you.
not just that, look at that, another round. Well, it's not so bad anymore, right? 83 and counting. What was it before? They were down cataclysmic, right? It was 120 to like 0, and here's a double kill by Boom. So
They want to keep that slight lead, because even a slight lead here.
until they finally do get the snipe, you see Ali thread the needle, right? So he's got to pick up on the Nemesis, looking for a little more here. Does drop shields on one, set the fight with the kill. Ali going in with the chat. No, I'll just keep bugging you, my bad.
Okay, no, it's fine.
I think the biggest moment in the game just took place, though, by the way. And Ali just secured, I think he just won the game on this one. The man got a double.
Disgusting.
He closed out with the win here. I think just that the mental, momentum that you get, the confidence boost you get is massive. And maybe Aperture is going to be the one to kick things off. Look at this. I love this play. He leaves the flag behind, sprints ahead of it, grapples it back to him. And look at that. They guaranteed the first flag of the game.
They're getting outmatched here.
A little bit. They're not quite picking up on some crucial kills. I mean, as I say, we do see it still has the snipe, the OS spawning up as well, manning on top of it. So they're covering the sandbox. They're working together to keep hands on the ball and keep these players on the spawn screen. My God.
That was a
wow, for lack of a better term. Speaking of Carmea, by the way, he just got a dirty double, bottom center. His teammate picked up another. They've got an opening to get the flag. Look at this. Oh, he's still going? Not going to stay alive.
I also like the angle in which he threw the ball so that it is in an open location, so if the enemy team does
trades. And while he does that, it gives Cycle a little bit of timing to line up shots. There's the spree, looks for
to keep captured, and I think that because Incognito actually had the upper hand here, they are able to hold down that fort. So that means that PK is going to have to go.
PK, can they get the defense they need? You got Grip with the camo depot off of this. Make a sneaky play. Beautiful heat wave. That's where vertical comes. So nice quick thinking at a torrent, recognizing they had a numbers advantage and Aperture with a rotation to make sure they all die. Down to Ronicle coming off a spawn at a deficit here. He's getting aggressive though. He doesn't care. Immediately going to die. Where are those rockets though? They must go.
Oh, there they are. You're asking about it. There they are. Carmea, of course, with the shotgun again.
They got team coverage on A. Aperture recognizing it. He's going from behind instead. Doesn't hit the snipe, but the backsmack will do. Got Huss with a kill for another. 3 dead. 1 player left up on the map. It's Carmea. He does get a kill, but they're polite though. He's about to do something very mean to the enemy team.
Yeah, probably something against the Geneva.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. There it is. Pioneers, it is a different type of aggression they're up against.
Yeah. We saw something similar, back with PK on this map. And PK, they couldn't quite find opportunities to pull the flag, but Pioneers, complete opposite story. Right advantage is a big cushion.
And Neuronical is doing some work here. I mean, he's 12 and 16, but he is still actively getting kills for his team and trying to clear. But they're just not able to move together as well as they have in previous games.
Trying to work together to rotate away from this action. You got Soul Snipe, who's picked up a second Stalker. He's just feeding. He's being fed Stalkers. Apparently, he's got complete awareness of when they spawn. And this is really stake territory, is what I meant to say. If they, they did. Okay, they just avoided the stake. Fix it for the next week. We got more ESA coming up, of course, every Monday, every Wednesday. On Wednesday, we got our exhibition match as well. So a bunch of exciting high-level matchups to look forward to. And then
down to 1 shot. Love the awareness come out of Kratos. And look at that. He hunts Magical down. Magical trying to make some magic happen and disappear, but Kratos gonna shut that down, and looks like round number 1 going to team.
Especially if you give up the shock. Mental, he's got another opportunity here, and he's already hitting them. That's a double for him, looking for a third. Looking to clean up a few, make it a little easier. There's Noble now down for the count. They're trying to rotate through center, but still haven't accounted for Suspector. He's going to get himself a double kill. Can he turn that into a triple here? We'll go all in for this challenge. And you got to watch out for this, man. He is not missing. This is a good play, too. He knows that the moment he jumps in, he can get a quick kill with the Rockets if he can find the timing to do it. Pull the VR back out to kills now down in the favor of Pioneers, and the Rockets finally going to come into play. Even if he doesn't get the kill, look at how he does get the kill, but look at how he delays the enemy team. Pick little BR pickup at an ESA Blue will stop him in his tracks and stop the OS as well. So Morley with a clutch play. And is that going to be enough for them to get a little answer of their own here? Morley now with the OS.
That him some positive play on that one. Fleury ends up finding himself a double kill, a triple kill coming out of range.
It's not going to stop, and they don't have much time to figure it out. There goes a face. Fluriously now dead. Soul Snipe gonna look for a second, but was that the straw that broke the camel's back here, Tony? 3 seconds. Another and in time for Pioneers to come in with the trades they need and a ball hole for them.
JK getting a nasty double kill.
Have shifted things though, BNC in their favor. Suspector looking to even the odds with the heat wave. A spree for himself as well. No way he connects with that stick cross map. A nice attempt though, and the damage still up here.
Suspector going in for the challenge onto open field. Kratos ends up finding the pick onto Swish and Suppressed. Not only gets a shot off, but repulsing that player back, getting very creative with the equipment. Those are the plays that don't show up on the scoreboard. Suppressed grabbing that camouflage, making sure that he stays undetected or incognito, and traveling with his teammates. Those 2v1s, he didn't get the slays that they want, but now they have to account for Suppressed on the map, and he's the reason why they're able to put that double cap, which then turns to a triple, and it looks like Suspector able to take down Drunk. We talk about how momentum driven for Spawn, and without any hesitation whatsoever, getting right back into the action.
So much coverage here at a Drunk. Does he win the exit? Have anything in the tank here, Tony? Dare I say we see another 3-0 in this series. Swish gonna come in with a double just to add insult to injury. Maybe a triple to close the game. He'll get it. And Pioneers in position to get a trade. Killing to slow them down. This time it's Drunk, right? He gets 1 and 2. That's a massive. Maybe this is Xset's opportunity. We're jumping in once again. Game already underway, and a double kill all.
It's like we have a final ruling. Your Pioneers were able to fend off the attack for 2 minutes. Xset couldn't put in 1 flag, let alone pull off what would have been a sudden death pull. And it seems like your Pioneers are going to pull off a 3-0 sweep. A little bit of a weird one as the lagouts come in, but either way, your Pioneers do earn that, and they're $500 richer.
Tons of action in this week of Series E, and in the end, it turns out it was all Pioneers.
Yep.
They take Open Night and Pro Night this week, and especially in very dominant fashion on Wednesday.
Yeah, this was KCP's week. Monday, Open Night, absolutely destroyed the competition. JC had informed me they got second during an HCS event, and then on Wednesday they dominate against some of the best players that we have in our brackets. So KCP had 2 different rosters in the series this week. They swapped out Talik with Swish at some point, and were able to dominate with the sub. So KCP takes the week.
Yeah, KCP were just one of the best teams really we've seen in Halo over the last couple of weeks here. They've been performing really well, seemingly in every event that they're in. They win Monday and Wednesday, and as Push just mentioned, yeah, they took second place behind only FaZe in HCS Open Series 10. They beat E-United in losers finals to get up to Grand and eventually fall to FaZe. So looks like the team's really ramping up right now. Of course, I know we're right on the horizon of Kansas City, which everybody's going to be coming out for. And when you look at this team, and they didn't really, they made top 8 in Anaheim, which sets themselves up, to go straight to pool play, going into Kansas City. And now it's just like, okay, now we need to see that definitive KCP performance. You're doing it in Open Series. You looked good in Anaheim. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, we need to see a KCP top 3 at Atlanta.
I think you will. We had the pleasure of meeting those guys during HCS Anaheim. They came down to the facility, and it's like, they kind of have that clutch factor.
I know that was cool for you too, because you've been a Manny fan for a long time.
Me and Manny have had funny interactions in chat, but as in terms of like him as a player, I'm such a huge fan of Manny. Soul Snipe, absolute beast. Talik, one of my favorites, and they just dominated. They're going to continue to dominate, and I'm pretty sure KCP is going to be like that hometown advantage. It's going to be nuts. So it'll be really exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. We got to talk about Blue a little bit here. Yeah. They finished 5th, 6th on Monday night. They lost to Torrent 2-0 in winter semis. They fall to Incognito 2-1 in losers quarters. A team that kind of seems to be their kryptonite right now. And then you go into Wednesday, they run into KCP, which is a difficult team to run into. They 0-3 there. And then they finished 17th to 24th in the HCS Open Series. So a team that, of course, a little bit of roster volatility right now, but it just seems like they aren't finding their footing right now halfway into the season.
No, we talked about it last week together. They haven't found it. It's one of those things where it's going to be tough to find it against a team like KCP, for example. Like, how do you do that? But even a team like Torrent with Aperture kind of just popping off like he did. I mean, I can't tell you how many plays happened where the entire production room was just like, oh my God. He was playing like that and single-handedly kind of, disassembled a lot of players on blue. So, it's tough. It's tough mentally. Yeah, and credit to Torrent, because this is a team that is starting to make a little bit of waves. They had a really good performance, as you already mentioned, on Monday night. They finished top 3 behind Incognito and Pioneers. So that's really good for them, and that's one of those teams that got signed right in the lead up to Anaheim and are now trying to build that momentum the way KCP has done heading into Kansas City. So credit to Torrent there. Of course, dropping the ball a little bit in HCS Open Series this week, but they do have one performance that they can be very proud of. So we'll have to see more from Torrent. But when it comes to blue, as much of a broken record as I feel like, it's just like, hey, we got to see you guys take the next step. There were some, credit where credit is due. The wins that we saw early on in the bracket for blue looked good. They took care of business there. And Torrent is not a bad team, and Incognito as well, right? Like, I'm gonna say this though. Just because seeding's good for you doesn't mean that that's going to happen all the time, So you got to be able to beat every team.
And that's ultimately what's going to happen when you look at an event like Kansas City, right?
You're not going to be playing against a team of people that aren't experienced. You're going to be playing against the veterans.
Yeah,
constantly.
You want to make a statement. You want to go into a major and set yourselves apart. You've got to win those matchups that you aren't favored in, or at the very least, you have to make a statement in those sets even if you lose. And
correct me if I'm wrong, on Monday there was Incognito beating Torrent, KCP beating Incognito, and the same result happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the consistency is proven with a lot of these teams, and blue does not have that yet. So
it's got to come. It's got to come. They've got to figure some things out, some things to shake up. I want to ask, I know you're a big fan of KCP.
Yeah.
I want to ask, other than KCP, as we're looking forward towards Kansas City, we still have quite a bit of time going into that.
Sure.
Is there maybe another team that you have your eye on? I mean, I throw back to right at the beginning of the season, my prediction to Why Not was FaZe are going to win a major this year. That's a team that I'm looking at for Kansas City. Is there one that maybe comes to mind for you, not named KCP?
Obviously, KCP is going to be a crowd favorite and will always be one of my favorites, the players and the team itself. Like just them in chat alone during the past 2 years has been kind of incredible to watch them blossom as an org. But I still got to go with Optic. FaZe, I'm sure that they're going to do well, but it's Optic for me. Like they're to me that team that is going to give all the teams a run for their money every single HCS event that there is. So
okay. And you know what? I know it is the Halo block, but as we're like wrapping up, I have to steal the opportunity to get some takes from you on Guilty Gear and Apex. I know you're very opinionated on Apex. Give me some.
I'm super opinionated on Apex. I'll start with Guilty Gear because it's short and sweet. Solstice showed up. I mean, like it was actually impressive to watch Solstice play last night. So good for that player. It's it's nice watching these players kind of find their groove and move on to a bigger and better pattern of play, right? Consistency is everything with fighting games. So you can do that, good for you. Apex, whew. There's been some crazy stuff with Apex going on. I mean, obviously, I have nothing but respect and love for TSM as a team, so I think they take the staple as like the top team. But my ESA boys are showing up. Oh my God, man. Intel's frying, Vizio's frying, and it's nice watching kind of like our grassroots teams, like they're starting their career, take on these behemoths like G2 and C9 and stuff like that, and even the drama that they kind of start on Twitter based off of them beating them in a 3v3, it's like, oh my God, that's incredible. If you can piss off a team at that caliber, you're doing something right.
If you guys didn't watch ALGS Pro League last night, it was the first game on Storm Point, so it's game 4 of the night. The final 2 teams are Cloud9 and Esports Arena, and the last 2 players up are Zach Mazer and Noct. And Zach has the benefit of the Noct shields from his teammates to kind of buy him some room, but Noct ends up winning the 1v1 to win Esports Arena.
We win those.
And you immediately see on Twitter, and it started with Designful, people hitting #justice for Noct after they win the game.
Noct,
that rivalry developing is really, really fun, and it's been great to watch. Tyler, I always appreciate you getting to come on.
Yeah, I'm
and
always
talk.
glad to be here, man. You can't hide me for too long behind the camera.
I try. I lock the door. I guess he has the key.
I have keys.
He let himself in. It's also hard too because he kind of has control out there. So I can't, as much as I may try, I can't keep him out of here. But that's going to do it for series recap here. Appreciate Tyler taking the time to come in and talk with me, as well as Zephyr and James. Do want to remind you folks, of course, we'll be back again next week. We'll be kicking it off with Halo on Monday night, Apex on Tuesday, the double dose of both of our shooters on Wednesday night, Guilty Gear on Thursday, and we'll be back again with series recap next Friday. Clear your calendar. 4 o'clock start times, Pacific time, all throughout the week. So make sure you are here, follow and subscribe so that you know when we're going live, and check us out on all of our socials. And also, if you need any more info, esportsarena.com. And make sure to come out to your arena this weekend.
Yeah, go play PvE. Go play it.
Go play Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Enjoy your weekend. For myself, Push, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, so good to see you. Have a great weekend.